Hi, I'm Maya Dion, and this is three things I didn't expect after losing someone in my community. So I've had friends pass away, and completely untimely deaths. And every time they have, because it's so untimely, because it's so out of the blue and so unexpected, I've had these reactions every time. And the first thing I didn't expect was guilt. Like, I didn't do it, but I still had the questions like, oh man, should I have reached out more? Did I miss a sign? Why didn't I follow up when I felt that nudge, when I thought about her and didn't text or something? Or was I too caught up in my own life? Am I just too busy? And I want you to know, even if you weren't that person's closest person, you still start replaying those interactions. And here's what I'm realizing. Guilt convinces us that we were supposed to be omnipresent, that we're supposed to be everywhere. Guilt will tell you that. Guilt is an emotion. It feeds data to your brain. However, if you don't counter it with facts, they will leave you feeling like it's all your fault, and they will leave you with the feeling of guilt. Here's how I'm moving forward. We're all carrying something, right? And community doesn't mean, and friendships don't mean, and your proximity to people don't mean that we're responsible for each other's outcomes. Yes, we're responsible for being a good friend. We're responsible for being part of the community, and we're responsible for the amount of responsibility we signed up for, but we can't be responsible for their outcomes, right? It means we care, but we can't control. That distinction matters. I will release the illusion that I'm responsible for the outcomes I don't control. The second thing was the fear that it triggered. When one of my close friends passed, and one of my recent friends passed, it made me ask myself, what if that could be me? Right? What if I'm not as strong as I think I am? What if fully feeling my emotions is dangerous? What do I mean by that? I started thinking about one of my friends that passed away by self-harm. I think to myself, all the times I thought that maybe my own grief that I was dealing with could drive me to the edge. Like, what if that happened to me? And that's because loss has a way of activating our own vulnerabilities, right? So I had to remind myself, feeling my feelings will not destroy me. Avoiding them might distort me. What does that mean? So feeling my feelings, a lot of times when people hear that, they think to themselves, oh, feel your feelings. What does that mean? Allow them to push you to act out of character? No. Feeling your feelings means acknowledge what the data is trying to tell you. Are you angry? Why are you angry? Dig deep, figure it out. What underlying thing about this that happened maybe a long time ago is a trigger for your anger that you may need to work through. That's all feelings are telling you. Hey, this is a strong feeling. Maybe you need to work through and resolve something so that next time this feeling comes along, it doesn't threaten to break you, right? That's what feeling your feelings means. Now, avoiding them might distort you. When you avoid feelings and you stuff them down, it changes your perspective about things. For example, if I avoided talking about Jason's death, which I did at first, it made me feel uncomfortable. It made me feel vulnerable. It was scary, and it was extremely sad. Avoiding those feelings eventually distorted my personality into somebody that seemed like they were okay until suddenly they weren't. Suddenly I was very quick to anger. Suddenly I was quick to be annoyed. And it was because there were feelings that I was not expressing, and therefore it distorted my personality. It distorted my view of my faith. It distorted my view of life and my value of loving things, because I thought to myself, I'm going to now on treat things like I don't want to deal with their death. I don't want to deal with their leaving, so I won't even invest in them. That's a distortion of my personality. Fear is loud after loss, but it's not prophecy. Who is speaking here? Is it the entity that wants me to react in negativity or positivity? That's a way that we can use discernment to act on whatever fear is telling us. That's applying a filter to the fear, right? That's discernment. The third and last thing is feeling like I didn't qualify to grieve for this person. So one of my close friends that passed, the reason I call her a close friend is because she was a good friend. She was one of my best friends, meaning not the, high school BFF type of label, but she had been one of the best people I'd known as a friend. However, when she passed, I was not one of the first people contacted. I was not one of the people that was involved in the funeral, even though I felt we were very close. The same thing is true about a recent friend that just passed. I'm not one of her people that anyone would think to call if something happened to her. So I found out on the back end. And so I'm feeling I wasn't family. I wasn't a lifelong friend. I didn't have years of shared holidays or anything like that. So part of me was wondering, do I even get to feel this deeply, even though it impacted me deeply? And grief, I want you to know, grief is not a competition, right? Connection doesn't have to be long term to be real. If somebody impacted your life, even briefly, your grief is valid, okay? You don't have to rank your pain to justify it. Here's what I'm choosing going forward. I will allow myself to grieve without qualification. Sometimes the most surprising grief is the kind we don't think we're allowed to have, but it still counts. If you resonated with this message, I want you to do something for me, and I want you to do it for yourself too. This is more than just content, more than just engagement. This is a declaration. I want you to comment, "My grief is valid, and I give myself permission to feel it." I want you to say it aloud because your mind is the first to hear it. And I want you to write it in the comments because your spirit can align with it. Here on this channel, we're talking about grief. We're putting it out there and we're giving you a space to feel held and supported. I am a widow of 16 years and grief is not a stranger to me. I've been coaching for 7 years. This channel is not about content for entertainment. This channel is a community. It's sisterly support. Every video here is designed to break old thought patterns, rewire your thinking with God's word, and help you be at peace in your grief journey. I want to ask you to do something right here, right now. If you want to keep feeling supported in your grief weekly, stay connected and I'll see you in the next one.